So here in Grant Holster, there's actually a way that I have found that it's the easiest way to get things set up. So I want you to learn that. And there are 4 really great steps. So if you will first enter the client information, then fill in the vault information. Now, if you are at the bronze level, which is the lowest level, you do not have access to the vault. So I really don't want to tease you about that, but let me just tell you, you won't need it. So don't worry about it. Then the next step is funders and then projects. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started on entering the client information right there. So let's go into Grant Holster and you're going to click clients. Now, even if you just work for one organization, there may be a situation where you want to have each department or each area be a separate client. But you want to think that through before you commit to it, because then it kind of makes it tricky later. So go ahead and make that decision. I'm going to assume that you do want to do that, or that you're a consultant and you have several different clients. So we're going to enter it that way. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit add. This is pretty easy, right? You're going to add the client information. All right, so we've got that information put in there, and next we're going to hit add. Now, that's all the information you really have to put in for each client, but you can add lots of other information if you want to. So you're just going to click the edit button and you can add any other information that you want, that you think is helpful. So actions or attachments or more information about that client. But for now, this is all you need. All right, so now I've got 3 clients entered into Grant Holster. And anytime I want to make any changes to these clients, all I have to do is click on their name and I can make changes. Now, one thing you'll notice is the client's full name is My Client 1, but I've given them a nickname of just 1. And so the nickname is what's going to show up. And this is great because sometimes organizations have really long names and they want to use their acronyms. So you can give them a nickname. Now that you've entered the clients, you want to go ahead and fill in the vault. Right there. So let's go do that. Here is the vault. And if you're at the silver or gold level, you are going to have access to this. So the first thing you want to do is obviously you want to pick the client, right? So here's the client, and you can enter general information, program information, governance and staff, fiscal and regulatory information, partnerships, awards, attachments, notes, all of that information for every single client. This is really helpful, guys. If you're in a hurry and you really just want to get started, the most important thing to enter here are the programs. So let's go ahead and and add a program for 1. And they are a health organization. So let's call it the Healthy Babies program. And we're going to add that program here. So then when you look under client number 1, general information, programs, you have Healthy Babies as an option. But let's say they have another one, and it's called Childhood Immunizations. We're going to add that one as well. And then let's just go ahead and add one more for good measure, and we'll call that one Women's Health. So now client number 1 has 3 different programs that they're seeking grants for, and that's great. I'm going to add some for the other clients, and then I'll meet you back here. So now I've got programs for each one of my clients, as you can see in the vault. So for client number 1, oh, come on, don't do this. There we go, programs. We've got 3 programs for them. Client number 2, which is just right down here, they've got 3 programs, and client number 3 has 3 programs as well. So let's move on. Our next step is to enter our funders. These are the organizations, the foundations, the corporations, I don't know, individuals, other nonprofits, United Way, you name it. These are the organizations that are going to give us grants. Oh yeah, the federal government, what about them? You can put all of them in here before you get started. So let's do that. This is pretty basic. You're going to go to Funders and you're going to click on Add. This is going to let you do a very quick ad for a funder, and so you're going to want to enter this information. I'm going to enter a few of them and I'll meet you back here. So now you can see I've entered just some very basic information on lots of different foundations. These are all made up foundations, of course. If you ever want to add more information about a foundation, you just click on it and this brings up all of this different information. And you can add as much or as little as you want that you think would be helpful. I feel like more is always more, so I think it's good to fill in all of this information. As you start using Grant Holster, this table here will start to populate. So you're going to be able to see all of this information about this particular funder. So let's go back to the funders. Here's our big list. Now we're ready to move on to the next step, and this is where it gets really fun. Now we're finally ready to add our project. So let's do that. We're going to click on projects, of course. Now, I do want to make one really quick note. There is a difference between a project and a program. If you remember in the Vault, we actually created programs, and these are the programs that you are working to get funded. So the oral health outreach or the education program, whatever it is. The project, though, is the grant that you're writing to fund that program. But a project could even be something else. It could maybe be a report that you've got to give to your superior. It could be lots of different things. But most of the time, it's going to be a grant application. So let's go ahead and enter that. So you're going to click on projects, and then lo and behold, you're going to click on add. And this is just the basic information that you're going to add. So the project description. So we're going to say it is the XYZ Foundation grant. The client, this is why you needed to add those clients first, right? So you're going to click on a client. So this is going to be client number 1. Then you're going to pick the funder. Obviously, you know it's the XYZ grant. And then the project type is going to be, a grant. And then you want to enter the deadline. So let's say the deadline is on the last day of the year. Now, I don't know what kind of foundation would make their deadline the last day of the year, but let's just say they do. And let's go ahead and mark it as a hard deadline so that it has that little symbol and we know that that's a hard deadline. All right, so now I have entered the information about the projects that I'm going to be doing. So I've got 3 projects on here, and if you want to look at more information about the project, you just click on it and it opens up this. This is all kinds of information that you have a choice to put in. Now, sometimes you need to put this information in so that the reports will run correctly, but we'll talk more about that later. But you've got all kinds of information that you can include. The reason I suggested that you put in all of your programs before you get started is because here you can choose a program that's going to be funded by this, and it's got to populate it from the Vault. If you're using the most basic bronze level of Grant Holster, you don't need to worry about that at all. You just put the program name in there. So you can put all kinds of different information. Where your deadlines are going to come are 2 places. The deadline here, which we know is a hard deadline, and your actions that you're going to put in. So let's add a quick action. Let's just say we need to have a go, no-go decision. Go, no-go decision from the client, and that's going to be my job. I'm really the only one in here right now, so everything is going to be my job, and it's just a task, and the status is scheduled, and the deadline is going to be, let's just make it that. It's not a hard deadline, it's not really urgent, and it's not a funding requirement, but the client needs to decide if they want to do it. Here's the thing, guys. You can add as many actions as you want for each project that you do. So if you have 100 steps for a grant, put them all in there. It'll all show up on your deadlines. So that's how that's going to work. And remember, you can always hit the renew project. If it's something you know you're going to do every year, you just hit renew and it bumps it forward a year and copies everything for you. Now that you've entered that information, you have deadlines. So when you click on the deadlines, you will see all of those different things that have to get done. If it has an action name, then you know it's an action that's related to a grant. If it doesn't have an action name, then you know it's the actual big project that needs to get done. Another thing is if it has this little symbol, then you know it's a hard deadline and you need to prioritize it. But it shows you the status of it. It shows how long ago you updated this information. You'd be surprised at how often that comes in handy. It also has who it is assigned to. And remember, you can sort every column as much as you want to, in any way that you want to. So that is actually very helpful as well. That, in a nutshell, is how Grant Holster works. So get busy, get your information in there, and remember, we're always here if you need us. We're just a phone call, an email, a text, or just come by and see us. We'd love to help you. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.